What if the food sitting in a storage facility right now could outlast your grandchildren? Not just survive, actually nourish them. Food's so shelf stable, they make your refrigerator look like a liability. We're talking about powdered foods with shelf lives stretching 25 years and beyond. Before you assume this is just about flour and sugar, pause for a moment. Number 7 on this list is probably something you're buying fresh every single week. You're spending real money on it repeatedly when the powdered version could sit quietly in your pantry until 2050, ready whenever you need it. By the time you finish reading this, you'll know exactly which powdered foods deserve a permanent spot in your long-term storage. You'll understand how to store them correctly, and you'll discover why most people completely overlook what might be the smartest protein source available, one that costs less per serving than a piece of chicken. Here's something the preparedness world doesn't advertise loudly enough. Powdered foods aren't exclusively for disaster scenarios. They're for people who think clearly about economics, who understand that food prices rarely go down, and who recognize that supply chains are far more fragile than most of us want to admit. Having a deep, reliable food supply means something. It means you don't panic when store shelves look sparse. It means you can help a neighbor who wasn't ready. It means you sit down to a real, satisfying meal when everyone around you is scrambling. That's genuine freedom, and it costs a lot less than people assume. Let's get into it. 1. Powdered eggs. If your first reaction is skepticism, I completely understand. The reputation of powdered eggs has been badly damaged by decades of institutional cooking, military cafeterias, emergency ration kits, and budget camp food that tasted more like rubber than anything resembling breakfast. But here's the reality. Modern powdered eggs are a completely different product. When you buy quality versions and store them correctly, the results will genuinely surprise you. Think about what eggs actually do for you. They're among the most nutritionally complete single foods on Earth. They handle breakfast duty, bind baked goods together, thicken sauces, and serve as a protein anchor in hundreds of recipes. Fresh eggs, though, they give you maybe 3 to 5 weeks in the refrigerator before you're gambling with your health. Powdered eggs stored in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, kept somewhere cool and dry, can last 25 to 30 years. Possibly longer. That's not a rounding error, that's a generational difference in shelf life. Here's what shifted my thinking about powdered eggs back in 2014. I actually tested them, not the sad military surplus kind, but quality commercial powdered eggs from a reputable supplier. When properly rehydrated, they were genuinely close to fresh scrambled eggs. The protein content, around 6 grams per serving, matches fresh eggs almost identically. The space efficiency alone is worth considering. A standard number 10 can of powdered eggs holds the equivalent of roughly 7 dozen fresh eggs. Imagine how much refrigerator space that represents, and then picture it compressed into something the size of a large coffee canister. The rehydration process matters more than most people realize. Use water that's slightly warm, not cold, not hot, just above room temperature. Combine 2 tablespoons of powder with 2 tablespoons of water, then walk away for 5 minutes. That rest period lets the powder absorb moisture evenly and reconstitute properly. After that, cook them on medium-low heat with a small amount of butter or oil. Rushing the process or cranking up the heat gives you rubbery results. Patience gives you something genuinely good. I now use powdered eggs regularly in baking. Not because I'm in survival mode, but because they're more consistent than fresh eggs. No more wondering whether your eggs are small, medium, or large. The measurements are exact every time. For camping, they've become essential. No cracked eggs in the cooler, no refrigeration concerns, just reliable protein in a lightweight container. 2. Powdered milk. The instinct to dismiss powdered milk usually comes from one specific experience, drinking it straight. That experience is underwhelming for most people, and it's not a great advertisement for the product. But framing powdered milk as a beverage misses the point almost entirely. Consider what milk actually does in your kitchen. It builds structure in baked goods. It creates the base for cream soups. It enriches mashed potatoes. It's the liquid in pancakes, biscuits, and bread. It forms the foundation for cheese sauces, hot chocolate, and yogurt. When you think about powdered milk through that lens, it becomes one of the most versatile ingredients in any long-term storage system. 2 versions exist, and understanding the difference matters. Full-fat powdered milk delivers better flavor and feels closer to the real thing, but fat content limits its shelf life to roughly 5 to 10 years. Non-fat powdered milk sacrifices some richness, but can last 25 years or more when packaged properly. The fat goes rancid. Removing it dramatically extends longevity. A practical approach. Keep both. Store the full-fat version for near-term use and flavor applications. Stock the non-fat version as your long-term reserve. If you ever want to drink powdered milk and actually enjoy it, one technique makes a significant difference. Mix it the night before and refrigerate it overnight. Something about that cold, steep time changes the texture and flavor in a noticeable way. Add a small amount of vanilla extract and a tiny pinch of sugar, and the result is surprisingly acceptable. Now 3. Powdered whey protein. This is where serious long-term food planning diverges from casual preparedness. Protein is the most challenging macronutrient to store for extended periods. Carbohydrates are easy. Grains, legumes, and sugars store well for years. Fats are manageable if you're strategic. Protein is the puzzle piece that most people leave unsolved. Fresh meat is out of the question for long-term storage. Canned meats work, but are bulky and expensive at scale. Dried beans are valuable, but don't provide complete protein. They're missing certain essential amino acids. Whey protein powder solves the problem elegantly. A quality whey protein isolate, sealed with oxygen absorbers in appropriate packaging, can remain viable for 10 to 15 years. It contains all 9 essential amino acids, the ones your body cannot manufacture on its own, and the caloric density is exceptional. A single 2-pound container might deliver 40 servings at 25 grams of protein each. That's 1,000 grams of complete protein in the space of 1 jar. The mistake most people make is buying the cheapest product available. Formulas loaded with artificial sweeteners, fillers, and binding agents that degrade quickly and perform poorly. Within a year, the powder clumps, the smell changes, and the quality drops noticeably. Invest in a whey protein isolate or concentrate from a company with a clean ingredient list. Store it either in the original sealed container or transfer it to Mylar with oxygen absorbers. Beyond preparedness, whey protein earns its place in daily life. Post-workout nutrition, a fast breakfast when time is short, protein enhancement for oatmeal, smoothie base. The applications are practical and numerous. It addresses the protein gap that most long-term storage plans ignore entirely. If you're finding this useful, take 2 seconds to like this post and subscribe. More content like this goes up every week. Practical, tested information for people who want to build real food security. 4. Powdered soup mixes. Not the sodium-heavy packets from the grocery store aisle that leave you thirsty for hours. Quality dehydrated soup mixes from reputable preparedness suppliers are a fundamentally different product. Real powdered soup mixes contain actual vegetables, meaningful protein sources like lentils or split peas, and seasonings that taste like food rather than science experiments. Packaged properly, they hit that 25-year shelf life comfortably. 3 qualities make powdered soup mixes worth including in any storage plan. First, they're comfort food in stressful circumstances, whether that's a natural disaster, an economic disruption, or simply a week when the grocery budget ran out. A warm bowl of soup does something for your mental and emotional state that crackers and peanut butter cannot replicate. Never underestimate the psychological dimension of food. Second, they require almost no preparation skill. Add boiling water, simmer briefly, eat. The barrier to a satisfying meal is essentially 0. Third, when you choose well, they deliver real nutrition. Split pea soup provides fiber and plant protein. Lentil soup delivers iron and folate. Minestrone adds vegetables and carbohydrates. The key is reading ingredient lists carefully and prioritizing mixes where legumes and vegetables appear at the top, not buried beneath starch fillers. I learned this expensively in 2015 when I purchased a bulk supply of cheap soup mixes. 6 months later, I sampled one and discovered something that resembled flour paste with a few dehydrated carrot fragments floating in it. Waste of money, waste of storage space. Now, I either buy from suppliers who specialize in quality preparedness foods, or I build my own mixes from bulk dehydrated vegetables, dried lentils or beans, bouillon powder, and spices. The homemade version costs a fraction of the commercial price and tastes considerably better. 5. Powdered cheese. This one surprises people, but it probably shouldn't. Powdered cheese is already in products most of us consume without thinking twice. The cheese packet in boxed macaroni, the orange coating on certain crackers, the topping on movie theater popcorn. The difference is that quality powdered cheddar or cheese blends bought for long-term storage can last 20 or more years and serve a genuine nutritional function alongside their obvious flavor benefits. Think about fat in long-term food storage. It's genuinely difficult to stockpile. Most oils go rancid within a year or two. Nuts eventually turn. Butter requires special processing to store for extended periods. Powdered cheese is a shelf-stable fat source that also happens to make food considerably more enjoyable. Use it to build a cheese sauce for pasta or vegetables. Stir it into scrambled eggs. Blend it into mashed potatoes. Season popcorn. Fold it into bread dough for savory biscuits. Mix it with powdered milk and a few other pantry items for a surprisingly workable cheese dip. Here's something that didn't fully register for me until I spent a week living exclusively on my food storage as a practical test in 2017. Flavor fatigue is a real psychological phenomenon. Eating nutritionally adequate but relentlessly bland food erodes your mood, your motivation, and your resilience over time. Powdered cheese is inexpensive insurance against that outcome. $30 buys a container that lasts years and transforms hundreds of otherwise forgettable meals into something that actually tastes good. 6. Powdered peanut butter. Many people first encountered powdered peanut butter through the fitness world, where it became popular as a lower-fat protein option. From a food storage perspective, though, its value runs much deeper than calorie management. Regular peanut butter already has reasonable shelf stability. An unopened jar lasts a year or two, but it's dense, it's heavy, and the oil content means it will eventually turn rancid, particularly in warmer storage conditions. Powdered peanut butter strips away most of the fat, concentrating the protein and flavor into a lightweight compact form. Stored correctly, it can last 15 to 20 years. Rehydration produces a spread that isn't quite identical to fresh peanut butter. The texture is slightly different, and anyone who knows peanut butter well will notice. But as a cooking ingredient, powdered peanut butter is outstanding. Stir it into oatmeal. Blend it into smoothies. Use it in baking. Make peanut sauce for rice or noodles. Add it to protein shakes for flavor depth. From a nutritional standpoint, peanuts are legumes that provide roughly 7 grams of protein per 2 tablespoon serving. They're calorie dense even in reduced fat powder form. In scenarios where maintaining caloric intake and protein availability matters, powdered peanut butter pulls real weight. I keep several containers in rotation and use them regularly. Not as a survival measure, but because they're genuinely useful in everyday cooking. Flexibility and versatility are worth something in any kitchen. 7. Powdered fruit. This is the entry that genuinely surprises people, and it probably shouldn't sit this far down the list. Most people who think about freeze-dried fruit imagine eating whole pieces. Strawberries, blueberries, apple slices, that's a legitimate approach. But powdering freeze-dried fruit takes utility to a completely different level. Space efficiency is the first argument. You can concentrate the nutritional equivalent of several pounds of fresh fruit into a single jar. The second argument is versatility. Powdered fruit dissolves into oatmeal, blends invisibly into smoothies, enriches baked goods with natural fruit flavor without adding excess moisture, and can be rehydrated into a fruit puree. You can even make fruit leather from it. The third argument is nutritional retention. Freeze-drying, unlike heat-based dehydration, preserves most vitamins and antioxidants from the original fruit. You're not just storing empty sweetness, you're storing actual nutritional value in a form that lasts 25 to 30 years. The practical applications become obvious once you start experimenting. Powdered strawberry mixed into pancake batter produces breakfast that tastes shockingly close to fresh berry pancakes. Powdered blueberry stirred into morning oatmeal on a cold day creates a genuinely enjoyable meal rather than a nutritional obligation. Powdered mango blended into a vanilla protein shake tastes like something you'd order at a smoothie bar. Beyond pure nutrition, powdered fruit provides natural sweetness, an alternative to refined sugar that also delivers flavor complexity and micronutrients. That's a meaningful advantage in any long-term eating situation. Here's the point that most preparedness content glosses over. Morale is not a luxury concern. Happiness, enjoyment, and hope are legitimate components of resilience. People who maintain positive mental states in difficult circumstances perform better, make better decisions, and support others more effectively. Powdered fruit is a small investment in all three. Quick pause. If this is helping you think differently about food storage, hit like and subscribe. New content drops weekly. Share this with someone who would find it useful. Nurse 8. Powdered vegetables. If powdered eggs are the protein anchor and powdered fruit handles micronutrients and morale, powdered vegetables are the nutritional foundation that holds everything together. The range available is extensive: powdered spinach, powdered carrot, powdered tomato, powdered sweet potato, powdered broccoli, powdered kale, powdered beet. Individual options allow targeted nutrition, while blended products offer convenience. Stored correctly, most powdered vegetables reach that 25-year shelf life without difficulty. The realistic use case isn't serving powdered spinach as a side dish. Nobody is excited about that. The realistic use case is nutritional fortification, adding vegetable nutrients to foods that would otherwise lack them. Stir powdered vegetables into soups, stews, pasta sauces, rice, and grain dishes. Blend them into smoothies where fruit flavor does the heavy lifting. Add them to ground meat mixtures for burgers or meatloaf. Incorporate them into bread dough. Nutritional retention in quality powdered vegetables is better than most people expect. Vitamin C takes some losses in the dehydration or freeze-drying process, but fat-soluble vitamins like A and K hold up well. Minerals like potassium and magnesium remain largely intact. Fiber, one of the most chronically underconsumed nutrients in modern diets, survives the process effectively. That last point deserves more attention. In emergency situations, diets tend to shift heavily toward processed, shelf-stable foods and away from fresh produce. This predictably creates digestive issues. Having powdered vegetables available maintains fiber intake and supports digestive health in circumstances where that matters considerably more than usual. A practical technique worth implementing: build a custom vegetable powder blend. Combine equal parts powdered spinach, carrot, tomato, and sweet potato. Store the blend in a labeled jar. In small amounts added to cooked dishes, the flavor impact is minimal while the nutritional contribution is significant. You get the benefits without fighting your family over the taste. 9. Powdered butter. Save the most underappreciated item for last. Fat is essential to human biology in ways that the low-fat diet craze of the 1990s genuinely obscured. Your body requires dietary fat for hormone production, for proper absorption of vitamins A, D, E, and K for brain function, and for sustained energy between meals. Without adequate fat, your body struggles to use the nutrients you consume, even if those nutrients are present in sufficient quantities. And yet fat is the hardest macronutrient to store for extended periods. Most cooking oils go rancid within 1 to 2 years, often less in warm conditions. Coconut oil performs better, but realistically lasts 3 to 5 years. Canned butter and ghee extend shelf life meaningfully, but still fall short of true long-term storage. Powdered butter, stored correctly, can last 20 to 30 years. The production process removes most moisture and a portion of the liquid fat content, leaving behind milk solids and concentrated buttery flavor. Rehydration with water produces something that isn't perfectly identical to fresh butter. The texture differs, but as a cooking ingredient, it performs beautifully. Baked goods benefit from it. Mashed potatoes become rich rather than institutional. Pasta dishes gain depth. Hot cereals transform from obligation to enjoyment. After reading research in 2018 about fat consumption patterns in disaster scenarios, I realized my food storage had a serious gap. I had substantial quantities of grains, legumes, canned vegetables, and protein sources, but almost no fat. The research indicated that access to adequate dietary fat correlates with meaningfully better physical and mental health outcomes in prolonged, difficult circumstances, even when total caloric intake is similar between groups. Powdered butter addressed that gap. Start with 1 or 2 cans. Use them in actual cooking. Get familiar with the product. If it works for you, scale up. If it doesn't suit your taste, you've spent $30 or $40 finding out rather than several hundred. 10. Powdered coconut milk. Here's one that deserves significantly more attention than it typically receives in preparedness circles. Coconut milk powder is made from dehydrated coconut milk and coconut cream. When stored in sealed, oxygen-free packaging, it can last 18 to 25 years. It provides fat calories from medium-chain triglycerides, which metabolize differently than most dietary fats and offer a relatively quick energy source. From a culinary standpoint, powdered coconut milk is remarkably versatile. Rehydrate it and use it as the base for Thai-style curries with whatever protein and vegetables you have available. Add it to rice while cooking for a richer, more satisfying result. Use it in baking for moisture and subtle sweetness. Blend it into smoothies or protein shakes for flavor and fat content. It also offers something most other items on this list don't. It makes unfamiliar or bland shelf-stable meals taste significantly more interesting. A basic rice and bean dish becomes something that resembles an actual cuisine when coconut milk powder and appropriate spices enter the equation. That's a morale benefit with nutritional backing. Coconut milk powder is also a practical option for people who don't consume dairy. Many long-term storage staples, powdered milk, whey protein, powdered cheese, powdered butter, are dairy-derived. Coconut milk powder provides fat and richness for those working around dairy restrictions. 11. Powdered green tea or matcha. This might seem like a luxury addition to a preparedness list, but the reasoning is more practical than it first appears. Quality powdered matcha or green tea, stored properly in airtight, oxygen-reduced packaging and kept away from light, maintains potency for 5 to 10 years. That's shorter than most items on this list, but the value proposition is unique. Consider what green tea provides that other shelf-stable items don't. Caffeine for alertness and focus, an underrated asset during stressful periods when cognitive performance matters. L-theanine, an amino acid found in green tea that promotes calm focus without the jitteriness associated with coffee. Antioxidants that support immune function, a warm, comforting ritual that connects daily life to something normal. That last point connects back to morale. Having a morning ritual, something that feels like a choice rather than a ration, contributes meaningfully to psychological resilience. Powdered matcha dissolves easily into warm water. It can be mixed into smoothies, blended into baked goods, and stirred into oatmeal. The antioxidant content is legitimate rather than marketing language. A small supply of powdered matcha doesn't take up meaningful storage space. The mental health benefit of having a comforting morning ritual, real tea, your choice, your routine, is disproportionate to the cost and space it requires. If you've made it this far, you're serious about this. That's worth a like and subscribe. Share with a friend who's thinking about food security. Every comment helps this information reach more people. 12. Powdered electrolyte mixes hydration is about more than water intake, and most long-term food storage plans ignore this almost completely. Your body requires electrolytes, primarily sodium, potassium, and magnesium, to function properly. These minerals regulate nerve signaling, muscle contraction, fluid balance, and dozens of other physiological processes. During physical exertion, illness, heat exposure, or stress, electrolyte losses accelerate significantly. Powdered electrolyte mixes, stored in sealed containers, can last 10 to 25 years depending on formulation and packaging. They're extraordinarily lightweight and compact. A year's supply of electrolyte powder takes up minimal storage space, and they address a genuine vulnerability in most emergency preparedness plans. Dehydration combined with electrolyte imbalance produces symptoms that look alarming and impair functioning rapidly. Muscle cramps, fatigue, confusion, and in severe cases, dangerous cardiovascular effects. Having powdered electrolytes available costs almost nothing relative to the protection it provides. Beyond emergency use, electrolyte powders are genuinely useful in daily life. During hot weather, after exercise, during illness, or any time water alone isn't restoring energy, these products work. Buying and using them regularly means you'll know exactly how they work before you need them under pressure. How to store all of this correctly. Knowing what to buy matters less than you'd think if you don't store it properly. Powdered foods that are packaged and stored correctly can last decades. The same foods stored carelessly might degrade in months. 4 rules cover the essential requirements. Keep temperatures low. Heat accelerates every form of degradation, oxidation, nutrient loss, flavor changes, and microbial activity. Ideal storage temperature is below 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Every increase of 10 degrees can cut shelf life in half. A basement or climate-controlled interior room is significantly better than a hot garage or attic. Eliminate moisture. Powdered foods and moisture are incompatible. Minor moisture exposure causes clumping. Significant moisture exposure enables mold growth. Original commercial packaging is rarely sufficient for storage measured in decades. Transfer powdered foods to Mylar bags or number 10 cans with proper seals. Silica desiccant packs add an additional layer of protection. Remove oxygen. Oxygen drives oxidation, which degrades nutrients, destroys flavors, and causes fats to turn rancid. Oxygen absorbers solve this problem cheaply and effectively. A 2000 cc oxygen absorber in a sealed Mylar bag removes virtually all available oxygen within 24 to 48 hours. The resulting low oxygen environment dramatically slows all forms of degradation, block light exposure. Ultraviolet light breaks down vitamins and alters flavor compounds. Mylar bags block light completely. If you prefer clear containers for visual organization, store them inside dark cabinets or pantries where UV exposure is minimal. Follow these 4 guidelines consistently and your powdered food storage will reach and exceed those 25-year shelf life claims. Ignore any of them and you'll discover the problem at exactly the moment it's most inconvenient. The most important thing most people miss: building a stockpile of long-term storage food that you've never actually used is a specific kind of mistake. It's common, it's understandable, and it reliably creates problems. You don't know how powdered eggs taste until you've made them. You don't know how powdered butter performs in baking until you've baked with it. You don't know whether your family will eat a meal built around powdered vegetable blend until you've served it and watched their faces. This matters for 2 reasons. First, discovering that you need to adjust your rehydration technique or cooking approach during a low-stakes Tuesday morning is fine. Discovering it during an actual emergency when you have no alternatives is genuinely stressful. Second, taste preferences and texture tolerances vary enormously between people. What works well for one household may not work for another. Building familiarity now, rotating these foods into regular cooking, testing recipes, adjusting what you store based on what you actually use, creates a storage system that works for your specific family. The rotation principle also solves a practical problem. Food storage that never moves eventually reaches the end of its shelf life and requires replacement. Storage that rotates regularly means you're always consuming the oldest items and replacing them with fresh stock. Your shelf life numbers stay valid because you're managing the actual age of what you have. Quick reference: the full list. Here's every item covered, along with approximate shelf life under proper storage conditions. Powdered eggs, 25 to 30 years. Complete protein, extreme versatility, outstanding space efficiency. Powdered milk, non-fat version lasts 25 plus years. Baking, cooking, calcium, and vitamin D source. Powdered whey protein, 10 to 15 years. Complete amino acid profile, highest protein density available. Powdered soup mixes, 25 years. Comfort food, minimal preparation required, genuine nutrition when chosen well. Powdered cheese, 20 plus years. Shelf-stable fat source, flavor enhancement, morale support. Powdered peanut butter, 15 to 20 years. Plant protein, lightweight versatile ingredient. Powdered fruit, 25 to 30 years. Freeze-dried. Vitamins, natural sweetness, morale impact. Powdered vegetables, 25 years. Fiber, micronutrients, nutritional fortification for any meal. Powdered butter, 20 to 30 years. Essential dietary fat, fat-soluble vitamin support. Powdered coconut milk, 18 to 25 years. Dairy-free fat source, culinary versatility. Powdered matcha or green tea, 5 to 10 years. Antioxidants, focus support, ritual value. Powdered electrolytes, 10 to 25 years. Hydration support, essential mineral replacement, where to start. If this list feels overwhelming, here's a simple starting point. Pick 2 items. Choose the ones that connect most naturally to food you already cook regularly. Buy them, open them within the first week, and actually use them in a meal. Take notes on what worked and what didn't. Then add 2 more items next month. 12 months from now, you'll have practical experience with most of this list, a storage system that actually works for your household, and a meaningfully more secure food position than you have today. That's the realistic path, not buying everything at once, not building a warehouse, not overwhelming your budget, just consistent, informed decisions made one at a time. The best moment to start building food security was years ago. The next best moment is right now. Stay prepared. Take it one step at a time. Share this with someone who's ready to start thinking seriously about their food situation. The information is only valuable if it reaches people who need it.